Right, greetings YouTube. This is Captain Machine, back for another topic, and this time we're talking about military campaigns, and to celebrate that I'm going to distract myself heavily and therefore probably result in the worst video I ever made on my channel. Even worse than the zombie one. By distracting myself while talking to you at the same time. This is going to turn out very bad, I know it is. But I'm going to do it anyway because it's a giggle. Basically my friend and subscriber VonMuller suggested this topic to me because we both had played a military campaign before and we basically know the gist of it. Now he is of the opinion that they're very easy to run, and I say that that's not the case at all because I've actually tried running military campaigns for people and they've fallen flat on their face, and I think I've figured out the reasons why, which I'm going to talk about today. But basically we both enjoy them immensely, and given the chance to play again with VonMuller, which unfortunately is not possible at the moment due to our work constraints, I would not hesitate whatsoever because it, like I say, it was a lot of fun and it's something I'd like to do again because we both play in a long-term, long-running campaign which we have a lot of memories of, and we do talk very fondly of it because it was an amazingly good time. Oh, got two that time. Basically, first of all, I honestly believe that in any situation like this you need a social contract. Now what do I mean when I say that? Basically what I mean is that you should be prepared to lay down some ground rules for you and your friends, because not everyone's going to react the same way to this particular topic, and I'm going to explain that in a minute why. A lot of people are going to be, well, not a lot of people, I'm going to say some people are going to be very unsympathetic towards the idea of playing a military campaign for one reason or another. The key one is being told what to do. Right, my idea of ground rules for a military campaign are as follows. If you want to incorporate this into your social contract, when I say that I don't mean writing on paper, for Christ's sakes don't do that. What I'm talking about today is I'm just talking about having a verbal agreement with your friends so you're all on the same page. Now the first and best one I can think of is that people in charge, the officers or whatever, you should never tell anyone how to play the character. In fact, turning up to do that in a role-playing game is tantamount to bitch slapping them. Don't do it. What you should do instead is you should give them objectives. So say for example in a particular scenario you have to assault a bunker. Let's just say for example that the officer in charge thinks that the best way to do this is to attack from the front and distract the main army so that people can flank from the left and wipe them out. So what, in that situation, what you would do is you say you and you come with me, and you and you attack from left flank, and that is it. You should stop it at that point. Obviously try to get as much military jargon as you can in, lots of hoo-ha's and all that crap. I was getting shot quite a lot, I think I hide behind it. But don't tell them how to play the character. It is a huge kick in the balls. However, if you're not in charge and you're one of the people that are following orders, one of the grunts as it were, you have to be prepared to follow orders, or at least follow the objectives given to you by your officers. That does include NPC officers. In fact, NPC officers should be followed to letter because your GM's going to give you crap if you don't. I hate this map. Far too many snipers on it and campers. Right, basically the honest truth of the matter is that you are going to get in situations where you may not agree with what you're doing. I've done it several times where I have not agreed with the strategy in question whatsoever, and it has eventually turned up with the near death of my character. It could have actually resulted in the death of my character, but I was quite lucky, and the GM at the day was quite generous. But what I'm going to say to you today is that should not be taken as any sort of advertisement for being insubordinate, because in any military setting, regardless of the period or the time or the genre, being insubordinate was punishable by various different methods of unpleasantness. I mean, for example, Wellington during the Napoleonic War was famous for hanging or flogging his soldiers for not following orders. It was pretty much a hobby for him at one point. Really, he was vicious. Everyone considers him some kind of saint. So if you want to lose your character in that particular setting, there's no quicker way of doing it than disobeying an officer who takes a disliking to you, or even giving an officer a reason for disliking you. Basically, what I'm going to say is, do not constantly disobey orders without suffering some kind of repercussion, because it will happen. That's not to say that you're robots and you should follow exactly what you'd be told, but if your command officer is following his part of the social contract, all they'll do is give you an objective, and the honest truth is that most players can deal with objectives because they're quite used to them. Generally speaking, the objective is capture the artifact, retrieve the princess, save the village. You get the idea. So that's not unusual. Now, I may have scared the crap out of people because I actually do know people that, even with those unwritten rules in place, would still play up hell about a military campaign. The honest truth is it's not for everybody. There are people out there that are going to despise them, and I'm not going to want to play it. I'm not going to want to take it seriously, and they're going to bring it down for everyone else. I'm not saying you should kick anyone out of the group, but if your group consists of people like that, switch to another game. It's not worth losing friends over. It never has been, it never will be. That being said, they are very rewarding games, and military campaigns lead themselves very well to episodic gameplay. And when I say that, I mean that you turn up one week, your GM gives you an adventure or a mission, whatever you want to call it. I just got machine gunned by a guy sat in the middle of the road. That was quite embarrassing. So basically, you turn up, you do your mission, you go home, you go back to the base, you get debriefed. There we go. Gotcha. Revenge is mine. And then you do the self and same next week. And some missions may be long and complicated and involve multiple sessions. I would say no more than 3. And there are several role-playing games that take themselves very well to military campaigns. Generally those ones based on military-esque shows like Babylon 5. Actually no, Babylon 5 is not a good example. Oh, yeah. Stargate, which has its own RPG. And what's the other one called? Big spaceship. Oh god, I'm gonna get so owned for not remembering the name of this. But basically, any RPG based on a military show or military film, or based on a war game, because there are a fair few of those. Heavy Gear and MechWarrior spring to mind initially. In either of those cases, they lead themselves to very well to military campaigns, and they can be an awful lot of fun. However, they can feel very miniature at the times, almost like you're playing a mini war game. And in some respects, some certain editions, depending on what you're playing, are deliberately designed to be like that. I mean, for example, when you play Heavy Gear or MechWarrior, when you actually get into your gear or your mech or whatever you want to call it, the game becomes the tabletop game, and your stats from your character are switched over to the tabletop game. And when you get out of your gear or your mech, you switch it back again. So those games allow for that. There are several examples of games where it's purely military based. I mean, when D20 first came out, there was a lot of military campaigns. There was actually an Afghanistan book, which was quite interesting because that's when we just invaded them. And there was rules for playing both sides, which again was very interesting. I'm going to wrap this up now because I'm rambling. But basically, if you are going to play a military campaign, have a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun to play. I would thoroughly recommend it to anybody. However, fully expect that certain players are not going to enjoy them. I personally know several players who would never enjoy a military campaign even with these rules in place. If you are going to play a military campaign, try to stick to the rules I mentioned today. They're not ironclad, you don't have to do it, but it's going to help if you do. Okay guys, bye bye.